Hello, it is Throwback Thursday, August 6th, 2020. Steve Sipress here. Another spectacular, beautiful sunset going on behind me as the sun sinks into the west. Still way over 100 degrees here in way too sunny and way too hot southern Arizona. I'm wearing one of my old throwback New York Mets hats because that's what I'm talking about today. Do you remember when sports were a break from all the BS in the world? Hey, I don't want to do politics and social justice, and I just want to watch a game. No, can't do that anymore. I just saw on the news that the Mets, either they were signing or they're working on signing, or they did sign some obscure, ridiculous player who's been out of the major leagues. I don't even remember his name. I just read it, like some complete nobody who was even out of the majors completely last year. The year before, he batted less than his weight or something. Absolutely marginal, terrible player. Of course, 100 times better athlete than I'll ever be. But when compared to his peers in the major leagues, he's terrible at best. His claim to fame, though, he's the only Major League Baseball player ever to kneel during the national anthem. Now, that was like 2-3 years ago. I don't know if anyone's done it this year. I'm not paying that much attention. But I got to tell you, I've been out of being an NFL fan for, I can't even count now, 3-4 years, ever since the ridiculous disrespecting the national anthem came on. And I love how they go, we're not disrespecting the national anthem and the flag. Well, really? Because you're not kneeling at any other time. I love how they stand up for the Canadian national anthem, but they kneel during the U.S. while, in other words, disrespecting the U.S. flag and national anthem. And that's how you get attention. I don't begrudge them that that's a smart way to get attention, but let's just call it for what it is. Disrespecting the American flag and the American national anthem is a great way to get attention. Kneeling during the third inning in the dugout where no one sees you, like that doesn't, hey, what's the guy doing? I don't know. He's kneeling in the dugout. Okay, whatever. Kneeling during the national anthem, that gets a lot of attention. Right? So make no mistake, of course, you have to be an idiot to think anyone will believe you when you say, well, they're not disrespecting the flag. It's got nothing to do with the national anthem. It has everything to do with the flag and the national anthem, because that's how you get attention, by disrespecting the flag and the national anthem. Again, you'd get no attention at all if you just kneel in the bullpen in the third inning when no one's looking. And so the Mets are either signing or have signed this obscure, nobody, useless guy who's probably been bagging groceries for a year. And if this guy comes to the Mets and starts disrespecting himself, his own country, the national anthem, the flag, I'm out. I'll never watch another NFL game again or care anything about what goes on. That's been a few years. I found it frees up my Sundays and lots of other times as well. I saw something in the news about some all-star NFL player who said or did something, I don't even recognize the name. And he's like a top something in the NFL. Been out of it for years, love it. Got my freedom and life back on the weekends. I don't pay any attention to those ridiculous kids who, to me, they're just kids that don't know any better. And they're easily manipulated, kind of like, come on, man, like one of our political presidential wannabes who is just so easily manipulated, but not because he's a kid. He's too old and aged and decrepit mind and demented and whatever. He's easily manipulated. In between, you have responsible people who can think for themselves, and we don't do something just because everyone else does it. And we certainly don't, if we love our country, we don't disrespect our country and therefore ourselves and the flag and the national anthem. So I got to tell you, I've been loving the Mets ever since I can remember. It's over 50-something years, die-hard fan, and man, I am just out of the whole, I'm already out for sure. I've been out of the NFL for years, clearly out of the NBA. The NBA, I saw something, they painted the name of a terrorist Marxist organization on the court, and the players wear it on their shirt. Black Lives Matter. I'm not, got lots of friends that are African-American, but I don't condone a terrorist group, Black Lives Matter. The message is great. The phrase is great. Of course, Black Lives Matter, and they ought to matter more than they do to a lot of people, so it's a great phrase. But the organization itself is a Marxist terrorist organization. So I wouldn't appreciate if my white friends or white players in sports wore shirts and painted on the court KKK. Same thing in the other direction. I don't condone that either. So I have a lot of friends who are white, not in favor of the KKK. A lot of friends that are black, not in favor of the Black Lives Matter Marxist terrorist group either. They're both terrorist groups on opposite ends of the spectrum. So now the NBA has completely gone off the deep end and is promoting a terrorist, Marxist, ridiculous organization. Like, I'm out. Nothing to do with it. And looks like from this news of the Mets signing this guy, if they did that just to ruffle feathers and make a point and have this guy come up and kneel, this complete nobody who, you know, he's probably, I'm sure he's good enough to play on my senior softball team. I'm sure he'd be the best guy in the league. And although he wouldn't qualify, he's too young. But in 35 years, maybe he'd be the best guy in the league. But I'm sure he has no business being in the major leagues other than if the Mets have signed him to make a point and to kneel, disrespect everybody and themselves, like, I will be out of that as well. And that'll free up a lot more of my time and attention, and I won't have to spend 10 or 20 bucks on hats and T-shirts and all my Mets stuff. And, I've moved around the country for years, in all different businesses and all different situations, and wherever I am, I always go make the pilgrimage to whatever the local team is when the Mets come into town. All that time and money and attention and energy will end. What a shame. So I hope the Mets don't do it. They don't stoop low enough to get engaged in this whole kneeling, disrespecting the national anthem and the flag BS. I saw one team, I thought they said they kneeled before the playing of the anthem, then they stood up when the anthem played. I'm all for that. That's fantastic. Do all the protesting you want. Just do not be disrespectful and rude enough and stupid enough, I might say, to disrespect yourself, your own country that gave you the opportunities. Talk about an opportunity. These players that would be bagging groceries at best, or who knows what they'd be doing if it wasn't for the great country of America giving them an opportunity to make millions of dollars a year to play baseball. Pretty sure you or I would play for free, or play for a couple of $100,000 a year easy, but I don't need the 5-10 million. So to disrespect all of that, stop being ridiculous. Hopefully, this player either doesn't sign with the Mets or never sees a major league field, or if he does, he somehow gets some amount of common sense and respect into his head, or someone gets it in there, and he does not disrespect our country, our flag, our national anthem, all the citizens himself, by kneeling for the national anthem. I mean, can we go back to the good old days where sports were an escape from all the BS going on in the real world? I guess not. Politics everywhere. And some people live or die by this stuff and think it's so important, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, whether it's right or left. They're all the same, folks. They're all the same. It's the politicians enriching themselves and their donors and their friends at the expense of the American people. It's just the way it is. I don't care whether it's a D or an R or whatever. Politics is fun to me to watch as a student of human behavioral psychology, to see all the games and the lying and the tricks and the half-truths and all the stuff going on in politics. But when it comes right down to it, there's no difference who wins any election or does anything, what party they're from or any of that crap. And I don't want to see any of that crap when I don't want to see it. If I want to see politics, I'll turn on some cable news channel that talks about politics. If I want to see sports, I want to see sports. I don't want to see politics in sports. Just like I don't think I'd want to see, whoever's on CNN start talking about basketball and baseball and football. Not their wheelhouse. Not interested in mixing the two. So here's my hope, the throwback to the good old days, and I didn't have to hope and didn't even have to think about it. Sports was just sports. Here's my hope it stays that way. Otherwise, might be the last time you're seeing me wearing anything of the tons of paraphernalia I have for my beloved, soon to be possibly no longer beloved. Hard for me to believe, but if it happens, oh well, life will go on. New York Mets, by the way, is the end of that statement. My beloved, soon to be possibly no longer beloved. Their choice, New York Mets. That'll do it for Throwback Thursday. Have a fantastic rest of your evening, night, morning, wherever you are around the world. Catch me back here tomorrow for delving into another in our multi-part series on Dennis Waitley's fantastic book, Psychology of Winning. Talk about that tomorrow on Foundation Friday. Over and out for tonight. Bye-bye.